And welcome to another episode of the United States of a Movie podcast. In fact, welcome to the most special episode of the United States of Movie podcast, week 64. 64 weeks. We have put time in on this podcast, the podcast whose entire purpose is to define every state in the United States by just one movie. But what we are doing right now is crowning a champion of season one. Something like 170 movies have gone into this podcast in the last year or so. We have dug deep, we have done the research, we have had a ball, and sometimes we have watched absolute garbage. My name is Ollie Pettigrew. I love movies. I used to host movie shows. Movies are my way of relaxing. They are my passion. And I found two incredible co-hosts that love movies just as much as me, if not more. So let's welcome them back to the show after dedicating a year of their lives to a ridiculous premise. Ryan Sander, buddy, welcome back.
What a year it's been. We finally whittled it down to our final four, or as the NCAA calls it, the last four teams to play basketball in the finals.
that's the
they should shorten
phrase.
That.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'm with Will. There may be a sort of a slightly sort of
gotta be a better way
of doing that. Yeah, but we'll go with Final Four. We invented it, so why wouldn't we? But of course, you heard him already, and as always, he's sitting there in the middle of his very own movie rental home. That's where he lives. It is the last blockbuster. He doesn't let anybody in. He just sits there and says, you can't come in. He just watches the movies by himself. Will Hirsch, buddy, welcome back.
So good to be here. It's actually been my dream job to reopen the old Hollywood Video, hire back all my friends, and we never let any customers in. That's what we always wanted to do.
You only sell candy from 1997.
Yes. And quick funny story about the candy that we used to sell at the at Hollywood Video. My buddy Eddie, and I will say this is okay, he was the assistant manager, so this was fine. Punched a hole in the back wall, and so we had this massive hole for a long time that we used to just put bags of Reese's Pieces in. And when they tore down the video store, I really tried to be there so that when the construction workers were bringing down the wall, just them being met with the most massive pile of expired Reese's Pieces bags that just buried them up to their knees and just be like, what?
Dude,
what
it was
happened
Hollywood.
here?
What they did when they pulled that wall down was they met the colony of rats that had been surviving on Reese's Pieces.
Hey, we spent all that time raising them, so I hope those rats found a home.
No,
that's why they went out of business.
No, I've noticed you call them Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
Is that? It's a pretty divisive way to say it.
I mean, that's what we call them as we were stuffing them down the hole in the wall when we were bored.
Pieces.
So it's
I don't like it.
Reese's Pieces? You don't like Reese's Pieces, but you like Terrifier.
Yeah.
Those aren't
so who's really in the wrong?
Those aren't mutually exclusive.
It's a binary choice, Ryan.
Cut my life into pieces.
Yeah, it's binary, much like
better.
the woman that gets sawed into two in that movie.
Man, if you want to see a movie that will ruin your night, go watch Terrifier.
Disagree. How is this becoming the Terrifier podcast?
Well, because you start us with it, you bastard. I'd much rather.
You're still talking about it.
Yeah, well, I'd much rather talk about that rollerblading movie instead. What was that movie?
Yeah.
Airborne.
Yeah. Oh,
such a good movie.
What a surprise that was. And we never even did it on the podcast.
I was so bummed to realize I was like, oh, this is my fucking Ohio pick, Ohio pick, but I think we had already recorded that episode, I think, a few weeks before. I was like,
season 2, buddy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is kind of around the corner, but we'll get to that. So much like we were talking about, we have over the last two previous weeks, we've whittled it down from 50 movies down to the final 4. We had Carrie Byron on last week, and we ended up, considering how mixed up our bracket was, we ended up with a final 4 that is honestly world champion status movies. On one side, we've got just, I think, one of the most impossible choices ever. We have got RoboCop up against Ferris Bueller. Good Lord. I don't want. I'm already afraid.
Hear me out though. RoboCop's Day Off.
Hey.
Again, I'm just trying to take these two movies and mash them together somehow. Yeah. Cameron's is still in there for some reason.
I'm not. I like that idea. But
Yeah.
on the other side, we again have two just world-class movies. We've got City Slickers up against Casino. So I'm honestly nervous about doing this. So before we get started on the final four, what I want to do is take a little bit of a walk back down the path we have already walked. The movies that we've already seen, because just going through our episodes now, I was flicking through, I'm astounded at some of the movies that we've seen, and I'm also astounded at some of the movies I forgot we have done. So I kind of just want to give our own little, we'll crown our own little sort of participation trophy champions, if you will, before we get to the ultimate. So I guess I want to start off with what movie for you guys of the 170 that we've done, what is the one movie that's been surprisingly living rent-free in your head since we watched it? Because I have an instant answer. I'm interested to hear what you guys think.
I mean, just going back there, like there are some that lingered on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and regrettably, I think one of them for me is definitely The Witches of Eastwick. I mean, I know we talked about that one ad nauseum, and like that was just such a fun, insane movie to watch.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that one a lot.
For me, it's in the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah,
I cannot.
Totally similar movies.
No, absolutely. But the thing is, it just stuff from that movie keeps cropping up. Like they had a bit in Corridor Crew was doing a sort of like a react to this sort of like the visual effects or like the actual, like they were getting into the fact that there's that bit where he's being chased down that crazy corridor and there's all these monsters coming after him. And they got into just the amount of weeks and months of work that went into a shot that's 2 seconds long. You know, it's like you never get a proper look at it. And then I was just seeing something on Twitter was like it was a John Carpenter's doing an interview, and then they realized on the table next to him is one of these like, you know, one of these animatronic monsters from In the Mouth of Madness. And I went into that movie, you know, I was telling you once I watched it on VHS with my good friend Brittany, and it was like, and I roasted that movie, and we absolutely roasted it again, but I actually think that movie...
Oh, it fucking goes off. I loved it. Yeah.
I recommend it to people now.
It's good.
And that's what surprises me, because it really is fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
But I'm still talking about it however many months later to people.
I think it's still, like, you look back, it's still such a unique, like, vibey kind of movie. Like, it maybe one of the first, like, cosmic horror films, you know? Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not into the Cthulhu's and all that other weird shit, but I enjoyed the hell out of this one.
It was like kind of like, it was like a really good, I think we called it like X-Files episode.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. Yeah,
it
definitely.
Was like high budget. And then like, just in retrospect, it was shot very interestingly. I mean, it came out, wasn't it the same year as Jurassic Park? Or the year after Jurassic Park? Like Sam Neill was established.
94? Really?
And it was like,
it seems like such an 80s, like late 80s movie.
Yes, it was like a time travel movie. But that movie
it's a trip.
Has been living rent free in my head since then. I think
every time I go to the movie theater by myself, I'm picturing myself as Sam Neill.
Yeah,
laughing while a lady gets sawed in half.
Yeah, It's the only way I can come.
Oh my God. What about you, Will? What's your living?
What makes you come?
Here we go. So Annabelle Gish. No, the movie that's been like living rent free in my head is actually, it's not that crazy of a movie, but it is Daryl, because I hadn't even heard of that movie before you guys like brought it up to me. Now I can't escape it. Anytime I'm like online or I go into it, like it keeps popping. It's one of those things where like people must have been referencing it my entire life, and I just didn't know what the movie was, so it never sank in. But now it's like I see like other movies I've heard other filmmakers reference it now. It's like you guys spoke it into existence. And now like I'll go to like my video stores and it's like recommended Daryl. I'm like, where was this?
That makes me so happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
I was wondering, I couldn't, because there's always this like going through the list, like I couldn't remember which movies we brought to the table and who hadn't seen what. Like
Mhm.
I know we did one that I'm actually going to maybe save for our spoiler alert, a road trip episode. But didn't we all watch Flight of the Navigator together?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
did we?
we
Is
did.
that what we did? We did just a group watch
Yeah,
and
Flight of the
live
Navigator.
texted
I don't
it.
know. I don't know why that.
I think
like,
it was
why
because
we
it
picked
was kind of like Daryl. I think we brought it up, and we kind
Yeah,
of
very
like
Yeah.
similar. Yeah.
because I think it was like I'm pretty sure Will, you'd never seen it, like
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think we just like, we got to do it.
It's our favorite Paul Rubens movie.
But that's, I mean, honestly, you're not. I mean, I just saw
But
that
Daryl,
one
yeah.
pop up. People, Daryl, Flight the Navigator, they're very sort of fondly remembered.
Mhm.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
But yeah, Daryl is a movie that I remember really wanting to watch. It was my instant pick, like for that month.
Mhm.
But like, legit was like, oh, I don't know, was it shit? And as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, no, it rules.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
Yeah.
it's a great movie.
this
And
movie's amazing.
the
It's
movie that
dark.
ends with two children hugging.
Right, but it also has like
Yeah.
real danger. I think that's kind of what we got into.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is when we had kids movies. Yeah, Will, this is something you've been talking about. Is kids
Mhm.
movies used to be scary.
Right.
You know, the kids were in danger. Guns were being shot at them. They were abandoned. They're trying to find the monster.
They were witnesses.
Yeah, the government's trying to kill them.
Right.
And it's like
Yeah.
that's the movies we grew up with. It's even like think like something like War Games, right? Which we didn't do on the podcast, but didn't we? No, we didn't.
No,
But,
we
like,
talked about it, but
But it's like, with War Games, it's like it's the sort of adventure of a computer hacker that likes to play games in the face of global annihilation and nuclear holocaust. It's like
Right.
80s ripped, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kids movies used to have stakes in them that like actually like mattered, and that's something that's kind of gone to the wayside in recent years.
Honestly now I want to rewatch Daryl. Just you
Yeah.
bringing it up is a movie.
It came out on 4K, so I
Yeah.
might just buy it.
it did just recently come, right? Wasn't that
Yeah.
recent?
I think you showed it to us as well.
Yeah.
That kind of.
Yeah.
I
always
go to
find-
this local pop culture shop, and every time I walk into the back and look at all the little DVDs, I always send you guys the picture of the one Daryl DVD for $4.95. I forgot I constantly send it to you.
Yeah.
So like man, I always think it's because I was going to say. So what's your? This is honestly really hard. But what's your favorite movie of all the ones that we chose? What's the one watch that absolutely delivered, that was just pure chicken soup for the soul for you? What was that movie?
See, if you're going chicken soup for the soul, like I have my favorite movies list, and on that list I have Heat, Casino, Ferris Bueller, Wet Hot American Summer, one of my favorite comedies. But I think my like chicken soup movie is The Birdcage. Oddly enough, that movie just always puts a fucking smile on my face. Either that or City Slickers, but I'm gonna go The Birdcage.
That's the Birdcage.
It's like my comfort movie. I don't know why.
It's such a great movie with an incredible cast, and it's like for me, it always just peaks for me with Gene Hackman in drag.
Yeah.
Dancing his way out.
We are family. It's just positive messaging. It's what
Yeah,
we
we
need. It's
just-
what we need right now.
Yeah, we just we watched it here at the house actually the other day, and my roommate Colin had never seen it before, and had a fantastic time watching it. And yeah, same thing I was telling him, like, this is one of my comfort movies. This is like, this is just that good. I gotta say though, my Chicken Soup for the Soul movie, it's one of our final four. It's City Slickers. Like,
For sure. Yeah.
it's in my top 3 movies of all time. And it just meant so much to me. I gushed about it on the or gished about it, as we say on this podcast.
Nice. Hell yeah.
When we covered it, but yeah, it's I can't say enough great things about it.
Honestly, mine's a bit of a weirder choice, but I think it was because the
Stone Cold.
reaction of you guys watching it as well. But it was No Way Out.
Oh yeah.
I love No Way Out. It's a movie I watched so many times as a kid, and to be able to bring it to the pod and like, because I've honestly been saying, remember when we watched it, I said, no, guys, then you have to watch it again. When you watch it again and watch it again knowing he is the spy the entire time, and you realize what an incredible job Kevin Costner is doing in that movie. A guy who is like,
Pre-Horizon Kevin Costner.
That's what I'm talking about, right? Because I was just like, people
Just a guy.
We're talking about the idea of Kevin Costner, especially because he's got his new movie coming out, and it's like I know the guys from Blank Check have been doing like Kevin Costner's movies, and I was listening to them talking about The Postman, and for me, it's like I feel like Kevin Costner at times doesn't get the credit he deserves, and and it's sometimes it's because of the movies he's chosen, but with a movie like No Way Out. Like I said, with the central conceit, when you rewatch that movie, I was blown away watching it for this podcast because I was watching it with this.
He wasn't blown away.
But I also just loved that you guys got into that movie.
That was such a I dig those like political thrillers, like those late '90s Tom Cruise type films. But this one I'd never seen and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I was just saying,
the best thriller ever made.
Now let me ask you this:
yeah.
If like celebrities have their tequilas, their mezcals, if you're Paul Newman, you've got your tomato sauce, whatever.
Right.
What product could you see Kevin Costner like endorsing or coming up with?
It would be some sort of cowboy hat.
Barbecue sauce, like
saddles, something like that.
Belts.
I think doesn't he actually have a whiskey though? I feel like he either has a whiskey or a bourbon. I feel like I've seen that before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see that.
All right. No, let's
fertilizer.
Does Kevin Costner? I'd say
fertilizer.
Well, something baseball centric would be very Kevin Costner as well.
He does fucking love baseball.
He is Mr. Baseball when it comes to movies. Okay, have a whiskey. Let's see. Does Kevin Costner have a whiskey brand?
Kevin's own.
Tin Cup whiskey.
Oh, okay.
The one golf movie he did.
That's one. Okay, that's no. I'm not sure about that. Let's go. He's got his own brand though. So this is a very recent one. Yellowstone Star now has his own.
Underwear line.
Bourbon. No, that's Cole Hauser is reaching. So no. Thing is, everyone's doing that now. It's kind of like the thing. Even I'm like going, should I have my own whiskey brand?
You could. You could, in theory, go to most distilleries and work with them to make your own like cask ale.
Well, welcome to our new podcast, How to Create a Whiskey Brand.
how to destroy your liver.
Don't worry, done that one. Okay, like what is the movie you just wish you hadn't watched? What was the movie you didn't like? What was the movie that you've got an unreasonable amount of hate for?
Will, you want to take this one? Because it's basically the last.
You say fucking Twisted.
The last 50
I'm
episodes.
not. I feel like people would think I would say Twisted. No, not at all.
Our resident curmudgeon. Which I thought I was going to be. There could be two of us.
I really try not to be, but sometimes it just happens. Honestly, the movie that I was like, I hate everything and everyone involved in this is Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, that was a contentious one for sure.
I was like,
and that beat out Son-in-Law and Ernest Scared Stupid. Okay,
that's so funny.
It did.
Just 2 days ago, someone tried to say, "Hey, well, I was talking about the movie podcast," and they go, "Oh yeah, well, what's the movie that's an animated movie that has the white blood cells?" I go, "We did it on the podcast."
yeah. I can't remember the other two movies we did, but that was Osmosis Jones.
I was like, "Oh, do you mean Osmosis Jones, directed by the Farrelly brothers with Chris?"
Yeah.
Oh God, just every frame of that movie is
starring
gross.
Bill Murray's Fluids.
Yeah.
God.
The thing is, I got a soft spot for that movie. My missus likes that movie. My kids like that movie. Like, I like the idea. I think the execution could have been better. It's no Titan AE.
Yeah.
No, that's an actual good movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that movie rules.
Or what was it? Final Fantasy Ghost Protocol?
No, that was that? Spirits Within or something like that. Honestly, mine. Looking at the list, and there were some really obvious ones, but actually, once I got to this, I flipped past this movie. I was like, actually, yeah, that movie I did not like. It drove me up the wall. It was a bit, but I'm going to say it. Oklahoma! Exclamation mark. Oklahoma was just not my jam, man.
Yeah.
It was. I love good musicals. This was not.
Yeah. It was only the second best movie on the list that we did with an exclamation point in the title. That one. That's the thing. Like, the beauty about doing this podcast is that I didn't hate anything. It was just the sheer enjoyment of getting to like watch these movies with you guys. You know,
Mhm.
like what I was thinking, like the worst one, the one we really disliked was, or just couldn't wrap our heads around, was like What Lies Beneath. That one we just
Yeah,
couldn't pin
that
like how
sucks.
this movie cost this much money.
And we still talk about that.
It's
Like, anytime we're
crazy.
making a joke to anyone or even just between us about budgets, it's always what lies
Yeah.
beneath. Is the
Yeah.
instant, how did this cost $200 million? Like,
Yeah. The new Borderlands movie only cost like $170 million. And it only made $8 million.
If that.
Yeah.
That is a movie that I'm interested to go watch because
Yeah.
the reviews are being so bad that I'm like, I'm intrigued. Has anyone seen it? Have you seen it either of you?
No.
No, I barely knew there was a video game, so I'm not excited for the movie adaptation.
Yeah, it looks colorful. That's all I've got.
Yes, that's definitely what Eli Roth is known for.
Right.
Colorful use of film. Like, you look at the cast, the crew, like the team behind that movie, and it is just mind blowing. And yet we can't get the Toxic Avenger or a Batgirl or the Roadrunner. What, like, it's crazy.
Movies that are like done too, like they're
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah, I really wanted to see the Wile E. Coyote one. Like,
Right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't know. David Zaslav, you're in.
Fuck you. With all due respect,
definitive.
go fuck yourself.
With all due respect,
Yeah.
you've made terrible decisions. Wall to
And the other one, like, we all hated it, but we could not stop talking about it, was the John Cryer film Hiding Out. Like,
oh my god,
a movie so problematic and
So
so
problematic.
bad, but it's like a car crash of a film. You just couldn't fucking look away. And
Yeah.
another one, like, I really enjoyed watching that and just destroying it with you guys.
Yeah, there are. I mean,
Yeah.
like, it is sometimes it's the hate watching with your friends is a really fun thing, and it's hard for us because we're all in 3 different states. But the few times that we've done it, like, I still tell people about A Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and I was like, but it is made to be watched with people. Like, even we had mixes on, we were on a Zoom, we were all watching it, and it was just like,
I just picture you in like an insane asylum wearing a straitjacket, like, no, the Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and just rocking back and forth. Like,
Gotta get in the hot tub.
Sure,
You were
Ollie.
thinking.
yeah. I mean,
kind of like in Death Becomes Her when she mentions like Madeline Ashton and everyone else like loses their fucking mind. Like, she brings it up constantly.
Well, for me, it was just like, and then it had such a great opening credits sequence. Remember that?
Yeah.
On the side of the boxes and stuff like
Very
that.
clever. Yeah.
But like
all done in one take.
That movie was watching it with you guys. Watching that with you guys was so fun.
That was a great one.
That was my favorite group watch, definitely, that like we did. I was so excited to watch that with you guys because I was like, they're not gonna know what to make of this. It's once you get to the cancer infested rats that were eaten by the poisonous snake.
Gosh, love it.
You're on another level.
Explodes out of a toilet and then is shot and then explodes violently.
Because they shoot it with a bazooka.
Right.
That's right. Another one that was like, what the hell? And in retrospect, I'm still like, that was fun, is Streets of Fire.
I was gonna say, like, the best movie that I had never seen that is like an absolute game changer for me was Streets of Fire. So much so that Patrick Willems, dear friend of the podcast, has just recently did a video on it. I was like, oh my god, now I gotta watch this movie again. I can't wait.
The
soundtrack is in my fucking workout mix.
Yeah, the soundtrack's incredible.
All right, okay. All right, guys, I'm going to pause this for a second, and we're going to do one of the matchups, and then we'll get back to discussing some of the movies. All right, so we're going to do our first semifinal.
Oh, yeah, I forgot what we were doing here.
Yeah, RoboCop versus Ferris Bueller. All right, boys. So what we have here is one of the most iconic sort of satires about America, directed by Paul Verhoeven, a movie that when you even describe it to someone sounds ridiculous. I mean, even the name of it is ridiculous. Even just like the tagline, part man, part robot, all cop. You know, it's just on paper should be terrible. And it is one of the most iconic movies ever made, just visually and story-wise, and just in every way they approached it. And on the other side, you've got Ferris Bueller, a movie that every single one of us agrees is a perfect movie that is a pure joy from beginning to end. One of these has to go.
God damn it.
How do we do this?
I'm sorry, Ferris Bueller, but you're getting shot in the dick. The thing for me, like, I think RoboCop, especially if you're like at a certain age, RoboCop was such like a turning point for movies. I think, like, for science fiction. I mean, we always go back and say like 87. Like, you look at the track record of the year that movies were coming out, and it is fucking insane. But I think for me, being at that age, RoboCop was such like a coming to Jesus moment. Like it was just I was finally awake when I saw that movie. You know.
What do you think, Will? Where are you on this?
I mean, I got two things, because I love Ferris Bueller. I think it's a great movie. But here's what I'll say is, when I was in first grade, I tried to convince my teachers my name was RoboCop because I wrote RoboCop on all my homework and all my paperwork that I turned in. It didn't work. They weren't fooled. But that's how much of an impact that movie made on me at that age. And, the other thing I'll say against Ferris Bueller, I didn't just buy a Ferris Bueller action figure the other day. I bought the action figure of Alex Murphy where he's getting shot up and his arm blown off. That's now up on my wall. So if you talk about what movie had a bigger impact on me,
fucked up.
Who's got a fucking statue?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fine. You guys have made compelling arguments. I'm going to jump to the defense of Ferris Bueller. Now, RoboCop, I saw as my father decided that his form of parenting was to scar me mentally as a child with movies I definitely shouldn't have been watching at the age that I saw them. And one of those movies was RoboCop. And I still have nerves about RoboCop. I still have this, like, I look at the movie and I want to watch it, and I have this pit of my stomach reaction because I was 11 years old watching Alex Murphy get just fucking destroyed. And that is carried in my basic trauma for the rest of my life. But Ferris Bueller for me is such a definitive movie. Not just about, like, as movies go, but for my idea of what America was, about what I thought America was, about what it was to be in a high school student, the idea that you kids were driving, younger than we were, you were driving cool cars, that you lived in places like Chicago, and it just like, and I remember I burnt into my soul seeing it the first time, and every time I watch it, it is a pure joy explosion. It hits every pleasure center in my body. It just releases serotonin, and by the end of that movie, you're just like so filled up, you know what I mean?
Like, you have to go back to your normal shitty life.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it.
And don't get me wrong, because RoboCop ends on a classic. Name's Murphy, you know what I mean? It's like it's just what and just dun 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 dun. But you
RoboCop
also
will return, and
yeah. But you also feel a little hollow inside after RoboCop. It's kind of ripped you out. It's kind of shined a light on this sort of situation. Then it goes, here's the credits.
And the reason it stood the test of time is because a lot hasn't changed.
That's depressing.
You kind of turn on the news, you're like, oh man, we could really use a RoboCop right now.
No, don't say that out loud, because Boston Dynamics released a video this week.
Defund the RoboCops.
Yeah, but dude, I watched this bloody humanoid robot get up in the creepy way that they've done in movies, where it's lying flat and then its body twists.
Like The Undertaker.
Yeah. I wish it had got up like The Undertaker. That would have been fine. No, man. It does it in a way that all of its joints and things just like reverse, and suddenly it's standing up. Don't you speak of RoboCop.
But its only weakness? Stairs.
It is funny that Boston Dynamics is like, well, we could have this robot stand up the normal way, but what if we did it in the creepiest, nightmarish way possible?
Yeah, of course.
What if we did it in a way that makes
keep saying kids aren't scared anymore? That's how you do
it. Boston Dynamics is fixing that problem. I mean,
it doesn't help that all of the limbs are fucking flamethrowers and stabbing weapons, but
right.
You want Chappie? That's how you get Chappie.
No, I don't want Chappie. So like we've got RoboCop, Ferris Bueller, RoboCop. They are both movies that have stood the test of time. They're both iconic. Each of them now, okay, I'm gonna admit with you guys that of the two, I say RoboCop wins when it comes to sort of the cultural impact in the place that it's made, because there's a lot of
Mhm.
Chicago movies,
Right.
you know, Untouchables, whatever, Streets of Fire, right? You know, but like there's a lot of Chicago movies that you can talk about. When it comes to Detroit and it comes to Michigan, like
Hmm.
there's one movie. I mean, you know, used to Beverly Hills
De-
Cop starts in Detroit, but
Detroit Rock City, sure.
right, Detroit Rock City, right? But RoboCop, like you said, it to the point that even the internet got together and raised money so they could build a statue of RoboCop.
Did they ever erect
Mhm.
that thing? Because
I
I've
think
been erect
so.
since that. I've been erect this whole time. But I think too, like even on a much weird, like while yes, RoboCop is very much like this Detroit thing, it strangely has this like national scale to it because you can kind of feel like what's happening in this world of RoboCop is also happening throughout. Like you get the sense in the like the fake commercials that you would see. Like
Yeah.
this is a much bigger world that they're building that just happens to be set in Detroit, versus Ferris Bueller, which is
Yeah.
a very Chicago suburb story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as much as, you know, it's also a bit like of a magical day kind of thing. You know,
Right.
much as
Yeah.
I like I so am I arguing, oh, RoboCop's more realistic, but you know what I mean. As in
I love like those. I have a soft spot for movies that are set in like one day. Like we did, like Dazed and Confused. It's all in the last, like
Mhm.
that last day. Wet Hot American Summer. I mentioned it's all in the last day of summer camp. And Ferris Bueller too. Just it's all set in that one day. It kind of it's such a unique like bottle type film.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
just and I love it, and the soundtrack's amazing, and it's just John Hughes being John Hughes, and you can't, you know, and there's so many iconic lines and iconic moments.
Yeah.
But I just checked, so they completed the RoboCop statue, but public display of the statue has been delayed due to several setbacks, including difficulty securing a site, legal issues with
Damn.
MGM, and the artist Giorgio Gikas battling cancer at the moment. So as
Oh,
of right now, it is in
Hmm.
storage in an undisclosed location. But
they're
whatever
gonna
cancer
like
that is,
erect that statue, and then you find out RoboCop like owns slaves, and they're just like fucking
Oh
clones.
man.
God damn it, Murphy! You son of a
RoboCop gets
bitch.
cancelled after the fact. It's like,
Oh
oh
man.
man, he really likes the Confederacy.
I mean,
He both sides the Civil War. It's just
and
like,
then,
oh
and then
man.
yeah, this is the movie though. Then you get like the other side that's like robot lives matter. Like,
It's like
oh
ED
boy,
209 wasn't such a bad guy after all.
Yeah.
All right, okay, so
I'm only half robot.
right now I'm gonna take a poll. All right, everybody gets a vote. I want to see where we're landing right now. So
Hmm.
Ryan, RoboCop or Ferris Bueller?
If I'm going purely aspirational, you got to go with Ferris Bueller. I mean, it's just if you want to be in a good mood and it just that's like your chicken soup movie. It's gonna be a Ferris Bueller. But if you want to like, I don't know, man. I just
Think about it
it's such
like
a tough one.
it is, and it is. They've both
My
got
gut
their
says
cultural
RoboCop,
impact.
just because I think it's like it's telling a bigger story versus this one fucking prick who's just getting over on everyone. Like,
Yeah, no, my
yeah,
heart says Ferris Bueller, but my gut
like,
of this podcast says RoboCop.
yeah.
For like it's for just what it is. Like I said, the statue, the defining thing of Detroit, the idea and the fact, and it's just that it's lasted through. You know, I mean, how old is that movie, guys?
87, right?
It's just that's a
37
long
years.
time ago. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, but all right, like for the podcast, I think RoboCop for me. I think it has to be. What
Yeah.
about you, Will?
I think at the end of the day, robot versions of everything are better. Robot cops better. Robot Godzilla's better. Like robot dogs.
Robot
Well, not
giants.
that. Robot giants always better. I and when I think about what I can relate to more, do I want to be a really cool kid, or do I kind of want to be a robot? I kind of want to be a robot. So
Says the guy who spent his former years writing his name as RoboCop.
exactly.
And a guy that's written a screenplay set in the universe of RoboCop.
We're not talking about that yet.
Okay. Allegedly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
it's Terrifier 4.
Terrifier 4.
It's
the
Robo
Oh.
Terrifier, and he just goes around shooting dicks everywhere.
That's all he shoots. That's it.
Yeah,
So-
I gotta go Robo.
So what about Ryan?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's the bigger of the movies for me. Like I think it's like bigger in scope, bigger in like scale and broad terms. It's more America to me, unfortunately. Like versus Ferris Bueller, which is again, it's just like it's a very small story of this one little prick who makes his principal do terrible things.
Say Ferris. But it does have some of the most quotable moments, lines in the history of history. But it's done. All right, guys. Semi-final.
Hear me out though. Prequel about Edie McClure's character
Yes.
Grace.
100%. Yes.
Saving Grace.
I want to know that. So, all right, RoboCop into the final. It is going to be facing one of two movies, and the two movies we're about to discuss. Ooh, City Slickers, Will's ultimate favorite movie, a movie that made us all feel very, very good when that, as that movie ends. And we discussed it last week with Carrie as well. Just it's got its incessant charm up against Casino. One of the, it's Scorsese, it's defining, it's got one of the greatest performances by Sharon Stone. It's got all the needle drops, the moments, the everything. And kind of like we talked about last week, even with all the violence and everything, it's kind of a fun watch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's like, they are both movies that are very America.
It spawned one of my favorite memes, which is they're holding Joe Pesci's like head up so he can watch his brother being brutally killed, but in this corner just a small text. It's like when someone puts pineapple on a pizza. It's just like, oh man. Is it racist? Probably, yeah. But just racist enough.
So what I'm thinking is, with City Slickers and Casino, is City Slickers, I think, shows the best of humanity.
For me,
Casino the worst.
Yeah, for me, it's like I think Carrie said it too. It's like such a great fish out of water story that I think has such a broad, like again, a much broader scale of you can take these city characters from anywhere and then put them into this like Wild West situation. Like they could be from LA or literally anywhere, I guess, except Texas or anywhere there's already like a cowboy thing. That would probably wouldn't make a lot of sense. They wouldn't be city slickers, they'd just be slickers, right?
Yeah.
But I think for me it tells that, like, especially someone from New York, like that resonated with me, that story of these corporate city boys going on this adventure together, I think is more substantial than the birth of this troubling casino empire.
I think kind of like I was saying about it, sort of bringing out the best, is that what I like with City Slickers is it's a non-Western Western. It's like it gives you the sort of the Western elements. Like what's the Jack Palance's character?
Curly.
Curly. Iconic performance. Yeah. But you've got the iconography of the American Southwest. Something that like we talked about as well. And another thing that we really loved about the movie that we kind of like all hit on, and we talked about it last week, but it was the really positive male friendship like examples.
Yeah, right.
It's got so many ticks to it, but like Casino, but it's Casino. Like I don't know like how else to put it, but it's like it's Casino.
See, I'm not going state. I'm going like most America, and
yes,
and Casino is still very much like a Vegas movie. It's like a separate entity onto itself, whereas City Slickers has that more broad, I think, appeal to it.
Well, I can take the broadness, right? But I can also argue that what's going on in Casino is very much a representation of how America works.
True.
It's the people in power. It's whatever the money takes. It's the corruption. It's power corrupts. It's everything.
But which one had Norman?
I know there's no baby cow.
Yeah, there's no inherent sweetness to Casino. It's just like a very bleak, like even how it ends. Like so the ending when you're like, oh right, this is just how we all fucking live now. It's
right.
Yeah. Well, as opposed to City Slickers has one of the most. I just got goosebumps thinking about it. but just such a pleasant way. And I referenced it every time we talk about it, but it's the boys riding in, you know, and it's like, it's just, it hits. It's pure America. They're even like, it's a classic bit of dun, 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 dun. So they're doing their own reference inside the movie of other like movie moments and things like that. That I'm like.
But does Scorsese have that like "Gimme Shelter" needle drop in Casino? I forget if that one's. I just assume that's in all of his fucking movies.
It's every single one of his movies has that.
Yeah, like I said, even in Killers of the Flower Moon, it was a really weird choice to use that song.
No, that one, the kids movie, the 3D one he made.
The Hugo,
Hugo, yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah,
Is it?
That's how it opens. No, I'm kidding.
Oh God. Yeah. Huh. Hugo, fuck yourself.
You thought about it.
I
There's
did.
a director's
for sure.
cut version. Yeah. I tell you right now, if you take that opening shot from Hugo and you put "Gimme Shelter" over the top of it, I bet it works. Fucking
times out perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
But podcast wise, I think City Slickers, man. I think it's got more America to it.
It's unfortunate too, because like we just talked about with RoboCop and Ferris Bueller, which are tonally like you have RoboCop and Casino, which are tonally these bleak kind of darker tellings, and versus you have these really fun, safe, colorful, aspirational type films in Ferris Bueller and City Slickers. But I think City Slickers, for me, especially at the age that I am and like the group of friends that we are, I connect with that so much more than I do with Ferris Bueller, whereas I did when I was his age watching that movie. You know,
right?
I know exactly what you mean, because like
for me, Ferris Bueller, I'm like, that little shit, like what a dick. But now I'm like, City Slickers, I'm like, yeah, I would do that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to say. Watching City Slickers, even as a kid, I was like, oh, when I grow up, which I have done now. It's like, but I'd still love to.
Yeah, I mean, you really leaned into it.
But the three of us, I swear. I mean, like, if we planned a trip together, we're doing City Slickers.
Yeah,
you know, that's what I would want to go and do with you guys. It's like a bonding experience.
Let's fucking go. Yeah,
I'm down. So down.
So
I get to be Curly.
Okay, but you're gonna die while we're out there. Just
that's why I said it.
I'm Norman.
Brian, are you all right there, buddy? All right, okay. I'm gonna take a vote, but I think I know where we're landing because we all seem to be leaning the same way. I'm City Slickers.
Yeah, for sure. Same.
Yep. All right, so let's put it in.
Wow.
So our grand final, is RoboCop up against City Slickers. Now we're gonna pause for a little while. We'll return to this right now.
I need a
pressure. It's a lot of pressure. I just want to get out there. So I want to sort of talk about another thing, which is like, what are the unexpected movies, the beautiful movies, the ones that have also sort of feel like you saw a type of movie or you got a kind of movie experience that you didn't expect.
Yeah.
I've got two that I want to just throw out there. See if you react the same. But for me, the two movies that I think I was most like, oh wow, I feel like we did a real movie podcasting was Minari,
Blue Bayou. I knew you were gonna say it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Both of those movies are movies that I would highly recommend to people who are just like, no, I love movies and I want to see something great and beautiful. And it's not going to be like, they're both very frustrating movies and it's drama and it's not like going to be tied up with a nice bow at the end.
Yeah.
You know, like Blue Bayou has a real kick in the nuts ending.
Yeah, it does.
You know, as does Minari in a way, but I found them both very beautiful movies, interestingly told, beautifully shot. Yeah. What about you guys?
For me, it was No Holds Barred.
Yeah.
No, no.
Hell yeah.
I mean, if we're going strictly like prestigious, like
actual
cinema
movie podcast.
Yeah, no, definitely No Holds Barred. Sure. Yeah. Or that or Stone Cold. No, yeah, I mean, we didn't do a lot of like, I think Giant was one that I was begrudgingly like, because I don't watch these types of films, like these old school Westerns. I was just never a genre that I was into, but I'm so glad that we did, because I think it was such a phenomenal film to
Giant was
like
excellent
to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. It was fucking long. Yeah. And I didn't care. There were other movies on this podcast that were 90 minutes long that felt like they were 10 hours.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great choice there, like Ryan, and that's kind of like that was our third episode when we did Texas, and
Yeah.
that was like Will sort of bringing, all right, guys, I'm going to make you watch a movie you don't usually watch. And I think that's why Will's such a great member of this podcast. But
especially coming off of The Wraith. I mean,
yeah.
It's
But
a bold choice.
Giant is a movie that, like, especially living in Texas, when people will bring it up, I'm like, oh yeah, no, we did that. We watched that. And it was like James Dean was, what a, wow.
Yeah.
Just incredible, that movie.
It's just a
Incredible.
great film. I mean,
Yeah.
arguably, like one of the most important films out of the 160 plus movies we watched, that, and I'm sure people are going to be upset didn't win this whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
But you know what it didn't have? Robot fucking cops.
Yeah, and it didn't have lights on a Friday night. So that's
a big mark against it for sure.
Yeah.
That's
that was a
you
big
know.
surprise though. Friday Night Lights taking that one. That was, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but it was a surprising movie. It was a surprising movie. What about you, Will? Any of the sort of like the good movies we chose that have been kind of like, you know, sticking around for you?
Yeah, there's two that come to mind. One is Dave, because I, you know, a lot of times when there's a movie I haven't seen before and I really like it, I just buy it on Blu-ray. And that was one, Dave, I just was like, wow, this is just such a really, really good movie. The other being, it just came in the other day, The River Wild, which I hadn't seen before, and just really dug it. I was like, damn, this is just such a good movie. So I've got that on Blu-ray to rewatch again, and just really, really impressed with those.
Yeah, that was such an interesting one to talk about because we were so confused as to why it wasn't more highly regarded. It's a really taut, well-made thriller. And then we got into that year of movies and we read through 30 of the greatest movies ever made.
But
like, okay.
I mean, it did make our river trilogy. You know, we had A River Runs Through It, River Wild, Wind River, like all the river movies. But another one.
Remember movies we've watched, but you can pull stuff like that.
I don't know how my brain works, man. But I was to say another one like that's up there is that I really enjoyed that I had not seen is Doc Hollywood. I really I got a lot of joy out of watching that one. Such another sweet, like really nice movie.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
You know, that's I think the best, and that's the great thing about movies is like, you know, it's like when you love something and you open it up to other people and you're like, guys, watch this movie. I think you might like it, kind of thing. I do like, because it's not going to win any Oscars or anything like that, but that is
you're talking about Terrifier again?
Yeah. But it's
just the sweetest movie.
It is. I love that movie for what it is. And we're not talking Terrifier, we're talking about that. What about like any other ones, Will?
Sad clown noises
that you can think of.
I mean, the things that come to mind are like movies that like are rediscovered after a long time, like Smoke Signals, just being like, oh, this is.
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
But yeah, that's just kind of the ones that come to mind. There was also, I think it was kind of a smaller movie, didn't get a lot of attention at the time it came out. Jaws. I think that was also like, you know, it's all right. It's no Deep Blue Sea, but you know, it was okay.
All right, I'm gonna throw a different one out to you guys because I've got an answer. But what was the best shit movie that we watched? There is for me. It's an absolute slam dunk. I'm not gonna say it, but I want to see if you guys say it.
The Incubus. A movie I'm convinced you all forgot we watched.
What movie are you talking about?
The Incubus?
Yeah. We watched that?
Yeah.
What? When?
That's the one. Remember, that's the one that had like every crime scene had way too much semen. And they made a point. They made a point to say that in the movie.
Which episode did we do this movie? I do remember a lot of talk about semen. You know, it was.
Well, that could be any of our podcasts.
The Incubus. That was such. Oh my god!
Wisconsin. Because it was up against the giant spider invasion. That's why.
Oh my.
Just got kind of.
Oh, this movie was so weird, and it ends with everyone just being murdered. Right, the daughter just gets murdered.
It's like a close up on an eye, and you're like, oh yeah, everyone dies.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, that's right. Oh, this movie was so weird, and it's like they were improvising every line. He goes, well, make sure you mention semen. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Gallons of it. Right. I go Calcutta. Right.
All right. Well, I would
Yeah.
say that was a
You said
shit
semen
movie.
like 4 times because I forgot if I'd said it or not.
See, that was a movie that was so bad. I don't even remember that
You
movie. I
see?
mean,
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, it's a movie that I hadn't seen that we then sat down. And I think we live watched it. We may have been over video or live texting, but it was Stone Cold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is a movie. I don't know how I missed it. I don't know how that was not in my lexicon. And it's one of those like I'll talk to people and I'm like, if you want a great shit movie where stuff blows up real good, but it's actually
That movie
quite
fucking
satisfying.
rules. Yeah.
Stone
I had
Cold.
I had this list of like most fun like group watches that we could talk like Stone Cold. We had a blast watching together. Next of Kin
Yes.
was like needlessly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Obviously Miami Connection and Hard Ticket. You
Yeah.
can't go wrong. If you're listening, like make that like a game night double feature. Like that should be
Yeah.
back to back. Great movies. Walking Tall was another one we had a blast
Yeah.
fucking destroying.
Yeah.
And you can't like, what would we be without our giant spiders? And brought arguably one of the most insane movies to the table.
Yeah.
That was
I
that was a wild one.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was more of an 8-legged freaks guy, but
You know what? They put too much effort in 8-legged
Yeah.
freaks. The giant spider put in just the right amount of non-effort.
which had the better title though.
Giant spider invasion.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I have
Yeah,
no argument with me there.
Okay. Well, there you go.
But yeah,
I,
that list was a list of bangers there. What about
Yeah.
you? Well, you got any others that I've forgotten? I mean, I've already forgotten about the Incubus, so there must be some.
I mean, no, we kind of covered it because I was so happy not just to show you guys giant spider invasion, but just Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Which I just found the frisbee the other day that we got from a special screening of Hard Ticket to Hawaii
With the razor
Yeah, that-
blades?
with the razor blade. But yeah, that's a movie I remember seeing and just like falling in love instantly. Where I'm like, I can't believe that like
Yeah.
someone made this, and then to find out later, like, oh, he was kind of a creep and a maniac, but not like in a scary Weinstein kind of way, just a kind of like, well, he's kind of a doofus idiot kind of way. But I just I love Hard Ticket to Hawaii. I'm probably gonna watch it again after this podcast.
Yeah, I'd love to, yeah.
It's such a lightning in a bottle thing. Like it's unfortunate you just can't make a movie like that. Especially
Shouldn't
like
be
that.
you shouldn't be allowed to. No, it should be illegal to make.
Not in this country, at least. A movie that actually looks like those Ghana posters versions of it.
Yeah.
Like
oh, yeah,
all the crazy shit you would see on a Ghana poster. Like if you're not unfamiliar, go look up the one for Mrs. Doubtfire or Jurassic Park. It's insane. But this movie actually captures that in movie form. It's wild.
That is a great way of describing it. Now we've touched on this a little bit, like some of you have mentioned, like so a movie that filled a cultural hole. So like that we've missed out on. So there's some pretty big movies we've done that you're like, I never saw that. And I only saw it for the podcast. Because I've got two examples. One is A River Runs Through It, which I kind of didn't like. I don't know. Yeah. I don't get the hype. It's just not my kind of movie. But the one that I was actually like watching it and I said, thank you, Will. And like, I was crying my eyes out but it was, It's a Wonderful Life. We did that for our Christmas episode. I'd never seen it. It's one of those things I was never really ever going to watch. It's referenced in Gremlins and all this sort of stuff. And then I watched it and I go, it can't possibly be as good as everyone's saying. And by the end of that movie, I'm like, oh, that movie is as good as everyone ever said it was. And I felt like an idiot for not watching. So like anything like for me, I just want to get that out. Like It's a Wonderful Life was that one that just filled this sort of cultural reference I didn't know. And I felt like a fool by the end of it for not watching it soon.
This doing this podcast is just, it's so great at filling holes.
Much like the Incubus.
Filled so many holes. Like I'm just looking through like movies I feel like I should have seen but never did. Like I had never seen Oh Brother Where Art Thou. It was one of my like Coen Brothers things. I had never seen Bull Durham. Like, and I absolutely loved that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that was gonna be on my list too. Bull Durham was a big blind spot for me.
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot.
Oh,
both.
Hoosiers as well was also another.
Yeah,
good
Hoosiers
Yeah.
another. I had like a list of going through. Like we did a lot of fucking sports movies. Maybe that should be a special
A
episode.
special episode, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So we've beat around many bushes. But now it's time to finally decide who becomes our international state champion of the world.
Oh
The
man.
defining movie, the champion of season one, the movie that represents America. We fire it off and to give it to aliens, or we bury it, and like future generations, 10,000 years from now, will discover it and go, this is what America was. We have Paul Verhoeven's incredible movie, RoboCop. And on the other side, we have City Slickers. Only one can win, guys. You know, only one can get shot in the dick. Only one, like they are both cultural icons, in their own special way. This is where we're gonna start. Who directed City Slickers? There's one thing I just like realized that
was Ron Underwood, I want to say, because
Underwood.
I am 90% positive I met his nephew on the picket line.
It is directed by Ron Underwood.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that. Yeah.
Who also directed Tremors. Cool.
Another perfect
He
film.
also directed The Adventures of Pluto.
God, could you imagine a City Slickers Tremors crossover? What the fuck? Holy shit. Billy Crystal riding a fucking graboid?
Hello.
God, only in my dreams.
God,
oh my God.
I think based on that alone, I got to give it to City Slickers. Just the way my mind just did.
Okay,
oh, man.
Brian, but a Tremors RoboCop crossover where it's RoboCop taking out graboids.
Don't want it. Nope.
Graboids would win. They don't have any dicks to shoot off. So RoboCop's powerless.
Unless they're all dicks.
Oh, well now.
It's just
go bring in the incubus.
Graboids are just dicks that have smaller grabby dicks that come like. Yeah, this writes itself, obviously. We've all been there.
Clearly, no problems with this pitch whatsoever.
Hold on, Kevin Bacon's calling me.
It's a cease and desist.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'll kill you.
God, this is like the hardest.
Let's see if we can break it down a little bit. All right, so let's talk about like numbers here. All right, so RoboCop, $13 million movie that made $53 million. Man, that seems low.
In 1987 dollars?
Yeah, in 1987, but it's like, but then, okay, 1991 is City Slickers was a $26 million movie that made $179 million.
Wow.
The RoboCop number seems small to me.
Say the RoboCop numbers again.
RoboCop was a $13 million movie that made $50 million. City Slickers is a $25 million movie, 26 that made 179. 179 in 1991.
What was Billy Crystal coming off of though? Like he was such a unique star at that point.
I mean, like it's not like
Tom
I don't
Hanks,
watch that movie
like
because it's like, yeah, exactly. I need to see that Billy Crystal movie. But at the same time,
early 90s, he's hosting the Oscars.
Yeah.
He's coming off of When Harry Met Sally. He's coming off of
when Harry Met Sally is 89
something.
Yeah, and then
I think we forget he was on Saturday Night Live too. Right?
I think he forgets he was on Saturday Night Live.
But like that's a wild number, $179 million.
That's $2 billion in today's money.
Yeah. I mean, but it is. It's like that's back in the day. You remember what a big deal it was.
That's What Lies Beneath numbers.
It made almost as much money as What Lies Beneath cost.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think that movie is just like Harrison Ford's like, I'm gonna buy another plane.
Gonna crash another plane. All right, actually, let's bring it up. What Lies Beneath? We've been trashing it. Let's give it some due. How much money did that movie make? I bet it wasn't. It
cost $200 million, right? Or $100 million.
I think maybe it cost $100 million, and then it made whatever Deadpool has made now.
It made $300 million. It made almost $300 million.
Sequel.
Disgusting. I'm disgusted with all of you who paid to go see it in theaters.
Okay,
God.
so City Slickers wins the battle of the box office.
Yeah.
But I would say that RoboCop wins the battle.
Yeah,
of...
but also RoboCop's an R-rated film, right? Like,
Okay.
so I mean, I think budget-wise for the 80s, like that couldn't have helped
I think
the numbers any.
I think it probably did like insane numbers on home video, like RoboCop, like because that I mean obviously that's how I saw it. And
I had all the toys. I had all the
yeah.
RoboCop toys. We talked about this. Will still has them.
Hold on.
Oh,
Here's
no.
another eraser moment for you. Hold on.
Oh,
Oh
boy.
no.
Can we talk about the comic books that RoboCop
This is the best thing I
too?
own.
Like,
this is my favorite thing. Ollie, you might remember this because this was on my desk. It is. Oh, are you even gonna be able to see
Oh,
it?
there it is. Yeah, it is. Robert Cop 2.
Robert Cop 3, and it's a RoboCop knockoff toy from China.
Hell yeah.
This
Robert
is.
Cop.
I love the idea that it's a story about a robot who becomes a regular guy. It's the reverse. It's the reverse of RoboCop.
I'm into that.
Call me Robert. Is the iconic headline. Just call me Bob.
Yeah. Bob Cop.
That's right. It's a British robot as well. He's a Bobby.
Yeah.
What was the one too? I
just
want
to be a boy, all dude.
Robot Cop. That was another great one. But I liked all the weird, like RoboCop was such an iconic thing that it spawned all these bizarre like comic book crossovers.
An animated show.
Is RoboCop versus Terminator versus Predator versus Batman. Like there's all these like weird spin-offs that should all be movies.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is like cultural impact. RoboCop wins.
Yeah,
like just on that, we got City Slickers as one on the box office. Cultural impact of a movie that
they're still making RoboDocs, the documentaries for it. Like,
yep. They just made this big documentary, and just like Will held up, even Chinese knockoffs of, there's no Chinese knockoff of.
Hold on, I have my Chinese knockoff City Slickers dolls.
Yeah. Curly Cop 3.
But they're all from City Slickers 2.
Yeah.
Karate chop Curly.
So now, that's a tie. So we've got 1 point went to City Slickers and 1 point goes to RoboCop for cultural impact. What's another way we can look at these movies, fellas? A way to break it down. The America of it, I think, is going City Slickers because it's got it's kind of like think about it as a non-American, all right? Like it's got the cowboy hats, the horses, the pistols, the guns, the camping, the uniquely very American idea of driving cattle as a cowboy.
Yeah, like it's the reason you're still playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Like,
I am literally playing Red Dead Redemption 2 right now, and it is a fucking joy. And it's like
you dress your character like Billy Crystal.
Yeah, dude, but you're not wrong. It's the ride a horse.
That feeling, like nothing captures that feeling quite like City Slickers. That great outdoor, that great Western America feeling to it, that grand feeling versus the bleak sadness that the bleak reality that RoboCop kind of paints.
Yeah, I mean, you've got on the one hand, you've got the bleak capitalistic, just brutal side of what America is. Money first at all costs. It breaks down a key part of American psyche, which is just like, ultra violence, no problem, but show us a penis or a vagina or a pair of tits and we're all going to lose our minds. It's like it really does get into that side of the American psyche. And that is a side of America that is a very real side. And I think City Slickers, is the aspirational sort of idea of what people want to be or want America to be.
Like picture yourself, you're Billy Crystal. It's 1987. You're living in Detroit. You just pull up in your SUX 9000. You're like, there's got to be more than this. You pick up. You go to your 40th birthday party, which wasn't his 40th birthday?
Yeah. Oh my god. That was
fuck.
And they're just
that's it. I got to give it to City Slickers. It's
but
too real.
But actually, remember how the movie starts. like not literally starts because we're in Pamplona, but like the idea of
Right.
he's lost his soul to the corporate machine. He's like, I sell air. I sell
Yeah.
something
Right.
completely like, you know, intangible. I just sell the idea of airtime to other people. That's what I do as a job. What does that even mean to me? And it's like they
Yeah.
go off on this sort of like this adventure to find their soul again.
Right.
So like
Yeah, but so does Alex Murphy.
you're not wrong.
True, but I
You're
think
actually spot on. Like, you do
True.
actually you hit the
See-
nail on the motherfucking head.
But see, I think City Slickers has this other dimension to it, that's not just aspirational, but also just relatable to like the average person. Like, I think the average person, you know, if you're not like me and a weirdo who's like online way too much, I think most people's experience is more similar to Billy Crystal's experience in City Slickers, and wanting to find that way to kind of get away, kind of like find yourself again, because they're not like extraordinary people. You know, they have like average jobs. The most amazing people they meet are like the Ben and Jerry stand-ins.
Yeah.
You know,
I love those guys.
and they were fantastic. But so I think like not only is City Slickers aspirational, I think it's way more relatable to the experience most like Americans have. And I think City Slickers is also instructional because you have like Curly who gives that great piece of life advice, which is like it's just the one thing. Find your one thing and nothing else really matters that much. And I think that's such a great piece of advice that a lot of people miss out on. And it's so simple, and it's one of those things that you hear it, you're like, yeah, that's just true. Like, you just got to find your one thing.
And we may have an iconic performance as Peter Weller as RoboCop, but let's just for that the Jack Palance of it all. Him as Curly, as little as he is in that movie, it is.
Yeah, I always forget how little he is in that movie.
Yeah, he's only in it for 15.
That's why I like the sequel more.
Yeah. But like,
they take that one thing, the most important part from City Slickers, the original, and then ruin it.
It's all about gold. That's the one thing.
Yeah. You want to talk capitalist pigs? That's the fucking movie.
RoboCop 3 has entered the chat.
Ooh, the best of the trilogy.
So has Robert Cop 3.
Yes.
What is this, a multiverse?
Robert Cop 3. I'm still just a guy.
I
gotta go City Slickers.
I think that's where we're leaning, isn't it? Wow. Yeah. All right, so that's it. There you go. After
it's so much more grounded and real. I obviously can be saying that against RoboCop, but it just it captures that feeling, that spirit of American freedom so much more. I think, you know, versus like oppression, like a corporate, not like RoboCop is basically just Twitter now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Spot on. Yeah. So after 64 weeks, 170 movies,
we could have saved a lot of time.
I tell you, I couldn't have predicted this, but I'm absolutely thrilled to say that the International State Championship of the World, the most American movie that we've watched that really gets into what America is, what America feels like, and who Americans are, is City Slickers, the 1991 American Western comedy directed by Ron Underwood, starring Billy Crystal, Daniel Stern, Bruno Kirby. It is a fucking great movie, and that is a deserving champion. But I could not have predicted that of all the movies we watch, we end up crowning City Slickers.
It's the craziest thing too. I think people who like don't know that we do this podcast, when we talk about movies, it's just like with regular people, like out and about, as we often do, because we fucking love movies, talking about just saying like we did. I don't think you can do you realize the amount of work and time that went into just getting to this one movie? You know? Right. People think we just put like, what's the best movie of all time? Oh, it's City Slickers. You don't realize that we watched 160 something movies, did 60 something episodes to get to this point.
Yeah.
But I feel really good about it.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
there's
did the
no
work.
argument. We're all in lockstep, and it's like it's a movie that I could go downstairs and watch and be like, oh. And it was funny enough because, and we talked about this. I tried watching City Slickers about a year before we did it, and I put it on and I turned it off 20 minutes in. I was going, this movie is just not working for me. It's moving so slow. And I was like, so when we went back to it, I was expecting it to be, I guess it was a mindset thing. And I was in a pretty bad time when I tried to watch City Slickers, things that a lot of the stuff was going wrong in my life. And when we came back to it and put it on, and I was like so filled up with positivity and joy from that movie that I'm like, wow, like I was so surprised that I was like, oh no, this movie's absolutely brilliant. But to have it now be champion, I was like, and I believe that, Will, this was your choice, wasn't it? Was City Slickers was the one you brought to the table?
Yeah,
Probably. I'd be
yeah.
surprised.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because that was New Mexico. I brought Oppenheimer, which I then went on to watch 9 more times this year.
You're watching it right now.
Oh no, wait, maybe no. I think Will, you picked them, and you let me pick.
That might have been right. Yeah.
Them. Oh, what a good choice.
So it's all my doing. I won this whole thing. Let's
wait,
go.
no, never mind. Wait, so I can make the case for them real quick.
You
know ants, right?
There
what if they
go.
were big?
So yeah, okay. So this is fantastic. So to all of us, to anyone that's joined us along with this adventure as well, thank you for that. But here is your champion. It is City Slickers. Watch it, enjoy it, tell your friends, and share it. But what we now have to do, eventually, we are going to start again. We are going to return
City Slickers
to
2.
Yeah, oh hell no. We are going to return to each of these states now that we have built this map, and we're going to decide, well, whether or not we've made the right choices, because there are thousands upon thousands of movies that we haven't got to, movies that we've referenced, movies that we can't wait to watch as well. But what we're going to do before we kick off season 2 is we're going to do a number of specials. Specials that we've joked about, specials that we've talked about, wanting to do. And I figured because we've done the work, we've done the homework, it's now time for us to have a little bit of fun. The one I was going to suggest for next week is actually something that Will has been talking about doing. And I think it's an interesting one. It's the best non-American movie made in America.
Ooh.
So it has to be a foreign film set in America. It doesn't matter if it was shot here, but like I want to kind of explore the idea. It's something that we talked about, with Paul Verhoeven. It's the sort of bringing a foreigner's mindset to America. It's a completely foreign-made movie set in America. I think one of the ones that we've talked about, and I'm sure it's going to be on the list, but to give you an example, is a movie like Rumble in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jackie Chan, action movie. I don't think a moment of it was shot.
Is that the one where he screams, "Who am I?"
No, that's
I like that one. Racist dog.
So guys, I want you to put your thinking caps on. I want you to get in there. Let's find some really random out there non-American movies that try to tell us what America is, and let's see what the rest of the world thinks of this country.
Oof.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I'm gonna have to do some research on this one. I think this is
Geostorm count?
Does Geostorm count? I know.
It might actually count.
If
I
it
don't
was
know.
funded by China, then maybe it is. So fellas, first of all, I called you guys up about a year and a half ago, and I pitched you guys a silly idea, and I said, what do you guys think? And it's been a real fun adventure to go on with you fellas. It's an adventure I'm looking forward to continuing.
This has been a really great coping mechanism for me over the past year. Thank you for turning this one thing that I love into a second job that pays no money.
into a chore.
And takes just the same amount of time. Wait a minute.
Yep.
Is this killing me?
I'm just gonna say it. After watching 170 some odd movies, there are too many movies.
Too many movies
in the world. We need less movies. So knock it off.
I think we should go back, and instead of doing all the states, we just do the 13 colonies. It's really just strip it down.
There we go.
Really.
Well, we'll see. Maybe that's gonna be one of the specials. All right, guys. Well, with that. Our champion is City Slickers. Next week, we are going to be delving into the world of foreign movies set in America. But for everybody that's supported us for this season. Thank you. Ryan, Will, thanks so much for coming along on this crazy adventure with me and having so much fun. We do want to continue this conversation. So there is a Facebook page, the United States of Movie, where people will come in, they'll drop in. We can find us on Reddit as well. United States of Movie, want to just talk about it. It's fantastic. You can find me online as That Englishman in Texas. You can find Will as Entitled Millennial on TikTok, Instagram, things like that. And you can find Ryan's fantastic designs as Rhino Digital, RYNO Digital, on Threadless, on Etsy, on all kinds of stuff. They've got some really, really awesome designs. But I almost feel like I'm going to go downstairs and I think I'm going to go watch City Slickers.
Let's not forget too, we made a tour shirt for all the winners. We'll plug that somewhere.
I will put that up on my Facebook. I will get that out there. We will have to send one to Beth and to everyone that came on the show as well. I think would be great. But wow, guys, we did it! Congratulations! That was ball.
Never again.
I'm feeling very good about this. But from me, from Ryan, from Will, and from the United States of Movie Podcast, thanks for joining us for this season, and we'll see you next week for more.